and welcome. It is the Real Estate 360 show. Here with you, Steve Connolly, hashtag unemployable, one of your hosts, and
this is Jason O. Myles, hashtag the real estate trainer, hashtag add a zero. What's up there, Shaggy?
Well, I don't know. We were talking before the show about what we're going to talk about during the show, and we had a whole bunch of ideas, but we really like the state of the real estate union as it exists in this time and space. And I know you have some ideas on that as well as I do.
Yes.
And let her rip. What you think?
Well, when there's a lot of comparisons in the news and, in whatever media outlet you want to look at about what real estate is doing now compared to what it was doing a year ago. Obviously, there's no comparison. I mean, even a year ago, we were starting to see a little bit of a slowdown at a time when we should see an increase. I mean, from the previous year. Now, now we're dealing with a pandemic, and, it's not stopping people from buying, but it's got the money, at least on the investor side, extremely fearful. And that creates a lot of opportunity for those that can see it. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't see it, and we're fielding a lot of those calls.
Yes, we are. Ty Lopez?
I've heard of the guy. I have.
Yeah. Well, he put out a little email a while back, and it was a reminder. It said, scared money never made any money.
Yeah, scared money don't make money.
And right now, there's a lot of scared money out there. Some of the lenders, some of the investor lenders they're afraid that they're going to lose something. And, all I see is opportunity. Oh my gosh, all I see is opportunity. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely everywhere. And, as we walk through this, obviously a lot of even some of our local lenders, right? The ones that are still lending anyway, they're wanting 16 to 19% interest.
Yeah.
Some of our national lenders, they've upped the game to 12, which isn't bad in this climate, but, they're wanting, it's still a 70% of ARV, but now they're also wanting, 20% down, as opposed to in some cases 30% down.
Yeah.
We're looking at investors that have been selling properties, and this is from the commercial side and the residential side. We're looking at investors that have been selling properties, not on the retail side, but on the wholesale side, that have just been sitting on this property. We're looking at a lot of people that were doing the actual wholesaling, flipping contracts, that are losing earnest money because they didn't make the right deal. They can't find a buyer. They can't figure out what to do with the scenario, which is normally the point. That's the situation. I mean, I was dealing with a guy last night, Steve, really all day, but it was a process that lasts well into the evening. He's got this 3-package deal with this guy. He got a great offer on the package. He took the offer, and now the guy is feeling like he can't close. The seller is feeling like he can't close. The buyer can't close. So I'm dealing with the buyer, and the buyer's using private money. So the private money, they don't want. I mean, they're ready to close this thing on either Friday or Monday for him, right? And the seller is afraid that he's not going to close. I mean, this is a true story, Steve. The seller is afraid that the buyer isn't going to close, so much so that he's trying to yank the deal away from him.
Well, why doesn't he just relax and wait until Monday,
Exactly.
That's not long when it comes to real estate. And if you're talking, a 3-package deal, you said, what's that, 3 single-family houses?
3 single-family houses. He's buying them for $120,000 a piece, which is a lot of money even 5 months ago and these properties are uh, in the West Hill, Westview area.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good. That's not a bad price.
No, that's not a bad price. It's a solid price, but they're small houses. They need,
Oh,
you got to do all kind of additions. I wouldn't have paid that much for them.
okay.
I would have, we would have probably been somewhere, 80 to 90,000 on these houses.
Right.
Not 120, but hey, listen, he jumped on it. He put a contract in for all three, and he obviously did this before he talked to me, but the deal was already done at that point, and there was nothing for him to do but close them or lose his earnest money.
Well, what's the contract say? Does he have until the till
Yeah,
Monday?
he's got until next Friday actually to close, but the
Well,
seller is, he's called up the attorney. He said, "Hey, I'm not closing this deal," and just all kind of stuff. And me, I'm the list pendants king over here. So
right. Yeah.
so I tell them, hey, listen, if they don't show up to the closing, here's what you do.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
and but you would think that a seller would be ready to get out of this. And there's a lot of different psychological profiles out there, Steve. There's a lot of squeamish people. There are people that do things, irrational things, for seemingly no reason whatsoever.
Right. Well, I had a guy call me yesterday that I bought a bunch of properties from him in 2017, 2018. And he'd kind of stepped out of the industry for a minute. Well, not the industry, but the single family house business for a minute. He was doing some industrial. And he said, "Man, I need to get back over here." I guess where the action is, he didn't really fill in the rest of the blanks, but reading through between the lines. And so he said, "What's going on out there?" But, I'm going to tell you what I said in a minute, but what I'm seeing as I'm sitting here and just listening to you and thinking about what's going on, this is kind of the calm before the storm because, you're talking about lenders that aren't really engaged in lending. They're kind of stepping back. They're afraid. But there's also something else going on the other side, which is there's not as much leverage right now for people to act. So their court systems are closed, basically, is what I'm talking about. And the lenders are moving a little slower in terms of foreclosures and and landlords are moving slower in evictions because they can't really do anything much without the court systems, right?
Right.
So this is causing a calm right now before the storm, and that's why we started our marketing when we did. We started it, basically last week. Our we will buy marketing in two markets, and that's just to set up, basically laying the foundation, laying the impressions of people, so that they're sitting there watching television right now, the calm, and when the storm comes, guess who they're going to think of? Well, us, of course,
That's right.
because we'll help you solve that problem.
That's right. And
But
Steve, investors right now are absolutely loaded with cash, right? I
yeah,
mean, and I'm talking about the bigger investors, the lenders, the local lenders, your institutional investors, because there's a lot of people that are waiting for just what you said. They're waiting for sellers to crack. They're waiting for the sellers that have been wanting this extreme amount of money to come down because they're going to be forced to do so.
hmm
They're not going to have a choice. And we're planning today for everything we want to do. Next year. We're forecasting right now about how we're going to be situated a year from now. And a lot of people aren't thinking like that. A lot of people are thinking about the right now and the immediate, which is good. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you got to do a little bit of that, right?
absolutely, you got to think about now.
You have to, but there's a bigger picture here. And that bigger picture is, where are we going to sit? What seat are we going to have at the table this time next year as money begins to loosen up this year?
Exactly. And what are we doing right now to get ready for that? What's the mental image that we have in our own mind's eye of who we want to be right now and into later on this year and the next year.
That's exactly right. And we hear all the naysayers. All we have to do is watch the Chicken Little network, and we can find ourselves in fear 24/7, right? The sky is falling all the time. Nothing is good in the world, but that's not true.
I wrote my belief idea this morning really early, and it was like every negative has an equal or greater positive.
Mhm.
So the bigger, quote unquote, the bigger disaster or pandemic or whatever you want to call it, at this particular moment in time, the bigger, the better. Why? Because there's an equal or greater opportunity that comes right along with it. At the same time, it's right here, right now.
Yeah.
So negative can never win. Never.
I couldn't agree more, Steve,
Yeah.
for several different reasons. The reality of it is, this is a similar situation as to what we saw, 12 years ago. We're seeing a huge transfer of wealth. And after we come back from the break, let's talk a little bit about how our listeners can take advantage of this transfer.
We'll Buy Your House. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español, llámanos, call us today.
And we're back. Real Estate 360. Da 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 da. Hey, just before this break, you said something about talking about what it is people are going to be doing. So lay it on us, man.
Well, first, I first want to say thank you to everyone that's actually listening and watching. Whether you're listening to us on your commute, if that exists anymore, or whether you're at home at your computer, just laying in bed or on the couch with your phone, and you're listening to us on iTunes or Spotify or Google Play or any of the platforms, any of the iHeartRadio, YouTube, if you're on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for listening. Please continue to share it with people that need to take advantage of an opportunity in this downtime that we seem to all have. But it's only downtime if you look at it as downtime. It's an opportunity for you to fill yourself with the knowledge and information that you've always been wanting and take action on it. At Real Estate 360, that's what we do. So make sure that you also go and check out the website, realestate360show.com.
It's a really, really big show.
It's a really big show. Really big show. So thank you. And please continue.
Yes.
And on from that, this huge transfer of wealth that we're experiencing yet again. We had one just 12 years ago when we had this huge financial crisis. I don't know if anyone remembers. And the wealthy people came in and just bought up everything, specifically talking about real estate here for a second. They just bought everything they could. You had massive hedge funds that came in that would never consider buying real estate in this manner. I mean, they would invest in different kinds of real estate assets, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like a REIT, like a real estate investment trust, they would invest in those kind of things. But actually physically taking ownership to the properties en masse, that was not something that had been done in a very, very long time. And we saw them buy up everything, fix them up, rent them out, hold them for a little while, and then they just dumped them all on the market.
Right.
I mean, systematically. I don't mean to make it sound like they poured it, just dropped it, because that would have created another problem for them. Of course, having too much inventory in the market drives the prices down. So they systematically sold these things, and they made a ton of money. And a lot of them sold them to retail owners, and it was just incredible. We're going to see the exact same thing right now. So we need to be positioning ourselves as investors for that. Meaning, yes, we want to buy at current prices, not yesterday's prices, not future prices, current market value. And guess what? We get to determine what that is.
We do. Isn't that fun?
That's right.
You know, and we have our programs, we have our systems, we have our marketing, and you know, it's just about being consistent and doing the same things over and over again, and not stopping. You know, just because the world has stopped for a moment doesn't mean we have to stop. As a matter of fact, that's when, you know, maybe we can slow down a little bit and go back and do things, pick up some stuff that maybe we've left behind, straighten some things out.
Hmm.
Man, I've gotten a ton of. I'm just really so thankful for this slowdown that we've had, because I don't know about you, but I've been able to go back and do some stuff that I haven't been able to do, and probably wouldn't have done had this not happened.
Like
Uh,
grow that goatee.
well, yeah, no doubt about that. I would not have even thought about it, you know. Uh,
Well, now when we go places, people can't tell us apart.
well, no, that's a problem that I hadn't really considered.
It is what it is.
Yeah, and then that kind of bringing forward things from, you know, undone things, but it's also, you know, those people are calling us, you know, from the past, like the guy I was telling you about earlier, and another couple people that have called me, and people are starting to show back up again that I haven't talked to in a year or two. And so this guy said, "Hey, what is going on? What should I be doing? What's the plan? What are you doing?" You know, he wanted to pick my brain basically. And I said, "Look, the problem is that, if you want to call it a problem right now, is that the lenders are pulling back a little bit, the hard money lenders. So that means that some of the flow on the wholesale side isn't moving the way it should,
Hmm.
but the retail side is moving,
Hmm.
and there's going to be a shortage of inventory in certain price ranges." I said, "I don't want to be really retailing anything over 300. I mean, yeah, certain areas 350, maybe 400, but generally speaking, you know, under 300, it's a good price point. You know, if you multiply 300 by 5%, you get 15 grand. That's, you know, divide that by 12, that's around what, 12, $1,300 a month, and add
Hmm.
taxes and insurance, you're about 1,500 bucks a month for a $300,000 house. That's affordable, you know, for a lot of people. And that maybe there's 30 plus million people that can't afford it right now since they don't have a job.
Yeah.
But there are, what, 70 million people who can, you know, or not, or a percentage of those. And so I was telling him, I said, okay, so that might be a little bit of a challenge, but see, that's going to create a little shortage on the opposite end, on the retail side. So if you can buy a fix up, inexpensive in the right areas, single family, and have it on the market in the next 2 or 3 months, you're going to win.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're
And
doing that.
yeah, and I just think that that's where people need to be right now. I mean, I having lived through a couple different um, real estate disaster cycles, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, this does not really qualify as a real estate disaster. It doesn't. I mean, this is something completely different. Being able to take advantage of it the way we invest is just a. I hate to say it's a bonus, but it's an opportunity that has presented itself in so many different ways. When we talk about the state of the real estate market today, there
Bless,
is opportunity. Yes, I'm verklempt. I'm a bit verklempt over here.
bless you, my brother.
When we look at the market today, I mean the opportunity is endless. I mean, from single family to multifamily, commercial is going to really take a hit. Obviously, it's not the time to buy it because I don't think the prices have come down to where they're actually going to be yet. But you know, if you're looking for that office building, or if you're looking for some kind of a retail outlet for whatever it is you want to do in the future, you know, this is great. Listen, everyone is talking about the new normal and how we're never going to be the same again. And, you know, that's just not true. History has proven that this too shall pass. Okay? In 1917, it took 5 years to get back to what normal was. Now we live in a world that's entirely faster. It's infinitely faster than it was 100 years ago. I don't think anyone would dispute that. Okay, so people want to do things. All we have to do is go take a drive. You know, we don't even have to watch the news. I mean, if you look at the news, you'll see people on beaches. You know, people gathering in parks. People, but if you just drive around, you'll see the exact same thing everywhere. People don't care. They don't care about it, to be honest with you. They don't care anymore if they even get the virus. They simply do not care. Most people think they're asymptomatic anyway. All I'm saying with this is, you know, there's an enormous opportunity out there. And if you're fearful, you won't get any of it. If you stay fearful in this situation, you are going to get just what you've gotten in the past. And that's more struggle, a different kind of struggle that most people don't want. I mean, do we have struggles, Steve? Absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, actually, we don't.
Our struggles are completely different. Why? Because we look at them differently.
Yeah.
Because we're willing to accept that things are different, things are changing, and how do we do what we do in conjunction with what things are. And as things speed up, man, our position is solidified. And all we're doing is trying to share with people what it is they can do to position themselves for future success by doing what you need to do now.
You know, I'm glad you said get out and drive around, because I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about, you know, people need to get their head out of their ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, CLN, Chicken Little Network.
That's right.
You know, the world is not on your television. It is, you know, get your head up and look and get outside and see, hey, it's not that bad. As a matter of fact, you know, I don't know anybody who has this virus. I don't know anyone. Now you may, but I don't know anybody.
I definitely
knows
do.
Anybody?
I definitely do. And unfortunately, my best friend just lost his mother to it. And but
no, she didn't die of a heart attack, and
no, confirmed, absolutely confirmed. And you know, they can't even see her. You know, there's this whole thing that's going on with that, and it's an ugly thing, but it's real. But I can tell you this, in the immortal words of Gil Scott-Heron, the revolution will not be televised. So get out of there.
And in the words of Churchill, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
And stop being afraid.
Yes, sir.
Let's take
Live
a break.
fearless.
Right.
Next, after the break.
Do you need to sell your house? Well, our company will buy your house. We make the process very fast, very easy, and it's all cash. All you have to do is give us a call today.
We'll buy your house. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español, llámanos, call us today.
Hello, and we're back. Hey, it's Real Estate 360. Hey, let's talk some more about the State of the Union.
Yes, let's Steve.
Some ideas about that.
You know, well, I mean, if we're just talking about the Atlanta real estate market for a moment, I mean, there is a ton of opportunity that is available to folks. You know, we're looking at, I'm looking here, Steve, at a median loan amount of $222,000, which fits what you said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything under 300, right? Because it's a different market under there, right? 2.25 is that sweet spot.
It's a super strong market, and it's a very affordable house, and people are looking in that. I mean, when you cater to the masses, you dine with the classes. So let's keep that in mind and give people what they want and need, and that's affordable housing, good quality product that's affordable and gives and delivers, you know, what what you promise. So
That's exactly right. I mean, you've got people that want to be in niche markets. There's a lot of money in niche markets. We know folks that they don't mind looking, for 3 or 4 deals a year, because those deals will make them, 6 figures in some cases, right? So they don't. That's their game. They're fishing in a pond with just a few fish, right?
right.
But most people want to fish in a pond where there's a lot of fish, like you said, when you cater to the masses.
Yeah.
And you know what? You can make $5, $10, $20,000 a hit, and you can do that a lot and become an expert, become very, very keen. Have a very clear understanding of what's going on in your market, in your area, or you can just do the one-offs. That's what I call them, and make a ton of money and spend a lot of time doing a whole bunch of research.
Well, by saying what I just said, as far as, those particular kind of houses, that might lead one to believe that we're like a one idea pony, uh, one system. We are not. I had one of these guys that called in that wanted to sell a house. It turns out he's a realtor representing somebody. And he said, "Well, what's your system? What it is that you're looking for that fits your model?" Because most of the big hedge funds have a model. They only buy houses that were built after 2000, or they only do 3-bedroom, 2 baths. They only do houses that have X amount of renovation. They only do ones that will retail up to 300,000. We're not that at all. And I said, "Look, that's not the way we operate.
Mm-hmm.
We need to find out what it is you have, and then we take the carve method, and then we structure that transaction around what's existing."
Mm-hmm.
So that opens up multiple avenues for us, and we're also a little bit more creative than your average realtor or your average investor, just because we've been around the block a few more times.
Yeah.
We were talking about cartoon characters a few minutes ago, and some of the folks don't remember, some of these cartoon characters, and we do. But that's just to say that we're not cartoon characters, but maybe we are. I don't know. But
Yes, we are.
yeah, maybe we are. But that's just to say that we've been around the block a few times, and we have a lot of experience with this. So we see the opportunities that maybe some people don't see, or we don't mind going outside of our box, understanding that creates new situations and new opportunities, for making a profit. And that's what we're doing. Oh, we're trying to make a profit.
That's right.
No.
That's exactly right. And you mentioned the carve example. And for the listeners that don't know what that is the conservative after repair value of a property, right? And we're looking for 4 different kind of problems that are all going to pop up. Really, it's not even a problem; it's a situation. What is the position of this property? What's the equity profile of the property? What is the seller profile? Why do they need to sell? Do they need to hurry up and sell? What options do we have available to us? Because if the more time we have, the easier it is for us to make a deal, right? The less time that a seller has, the harder it is for them to make the deal they want, right? So there's give and takes in this situation. So that's what carve is. It's the conservative after repair value estimate, and we find ways to do things through there. But to go now back to what you were saying, Steve, is that yes, we were having this conversation about Snagglepuss and just all these characters from the past that some people just don't remember anymore because they didn't grow up with that, right? They didn't grow up with those things. Having done real estate in the ways that we do them, people aren't growing into the business that way. They're not coming they're coming in to learn how to do one thing, one hot button thing, and that's wholesaling, right? Or flipping. So technically it's 2. They're coming into this business because they're loving the idea of getting a $15,000 check without ever buying a property, and they're loving the idea of making $60,000 on a flip, that they're going to very easily be able to do. They can do it in an hour.
That's right. And there's really nothing wrong with that. However, in a market like this, you might be out of business.
Yeah.
You might not. It just depends. But I guarantee you, for about a month there, I don't think anybody really did anything in the wholesale business, hardly to speak of. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're correct. I mean, were people trying to make deals? Yes. Were we trying to make deals? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did we make some? Yeah, we sure did. But we had to be creative in the ways that we found those deals. And that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about. Being creative, looking outside of your immediate situation. If I can't get John or Jane Doe to sell me their property at the price that I want, and I've been doing it for some time, I've got to find other ways to keep the train rolling. We called lenders, local hard money lenders, national hard money lenders, people we had relationships with, and we asked for, real estate owned. We called previous investors to see what their situations were if they had to sell, and we created opportunities because we went into the situation with our eyes open.
That's right. And I've actually even called people that I've sold houses to, asking if they want to sell them back to me.
That's exactly right.
Not so much the houses, but that church that we had down in Oakland City.
Yeah.
So I found him. I said, "Hey, do you want to sell that?" Because I know that I could resell it to the people that wanted to buy it when I sold it to him for more money. But
I'm assuming he said no.
He did. Yeah. He said no. He got a deal, and he knows it. And,
That's right. That's right.
But that's what we do. I mean, we deliver deals.
Right.
And I hate that word, we deliver quality properties that have a good upside in them. Every one of them, the way I look at it, is like you're buying a small business.
Mm-hmm.
You're buying a business. This business is a short-term business. It's maybe part-time, maybe short-term, but you're going to buy the business, you're going to run the business, and then you're going to sell that business when you've got it up and running and all the components put together in that. So what I mean by that, you're buying the house, you're fixing it, you're putting it on the market, you're selling it, and now guess what? You're out of business.
Yeah, you got to start a new business.
That's right.
And there are people that actually structure their deals that way, Steve. Like there were instructors of the past that would tell people, every property you buy, put it in a new LLC, a new entity. And they were literally starting a new business every time they bought a house. Now,
I have one question.
Yeah.
Were those people who were giving that advice, did they happen to be just thinking, selling LLCs and
Absolutely, they were selling them.
There's a good reason for them.
And of course, these were people that were doing this prior to things like LegalZoom and so on and so forth. But but the bottom line of that is, no, you're not going to buy an LLC for every property that you're going to fix and flip. You're not going to start a new LLC for every property, single family that is, that you're going to buy and hold. You're going to have just the cost of the taxes for each one of those would eat you up at the end of the year. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to think like that. It's different with multifamily. It's different with commercial. There are different structures that will allow you to have separate LLCs for each one of those. And there are structural situations that will allow you to have all of them under one big umbrella. But that is a structure situation. That's an insurance situation. I mean, that's an investor situation. There's a bunch of different structures that you need to consider. But buying a separate LLC for each single family home, that is just a waste of time, energy, and money.
Unless you're selling them.
Unless you're selling them. That's that's correct. That's correct.
Pretty good business model there.
That's right. Especially when you're selling them to people that have no idea what they're doing.
It's just a matter of perspective.
It is. Hey, Steve, I want to take a quick break. But when we come back from the break, let's give a little bit of clarity in terms of what folks should be looking at right now in the market today that they can utilize to help them a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now.
I think we can do that.
Let's take a break.
Hi, this is Sammy with Sammy Hadid Real Estate Keller Williams. Are you looking for a top producing agent who will look out for your best interests? Top dollar on the sale of your home, a well-negotiated contract, an efficient closing? Please call me at 305-978-4249. I'm more than happy to set up a consultation. I'll put together a proposal for you to net top dollar for your home, what it is that I'm doing to get all my homes sold. Then you can decide what's best for you. Again, I'll do whatever it takes to get your home sold for top dollar, and I promise you that I will protect your equity with my life. 305-978-4249. Sammy Hadid, Hadid.
And we're back. Hey, we were talking just before the last break about what people should be doing. And, I certainly have a lot of ideas about that. But Jason Myles, not Irish, but
No.
Myles, what do you think?
Well, I'll start this conversation from the retail end, moving backwards, if you will, to the wholesale investor side, right? From a retail perspective, everyone is always talking about, when is there going to be a crash? When is there going to be a crash? The real estate bubble, the financial bubble, the whatever bubble. The reality of it is there is a shortage of all sorts of housing in this country, a shortage. Will we have corrections? Absolutely. Will we see some huge crash happen in the next year or two? No, we won't. We've seen house values go up 4 or 5% every single year for a lot of years now, right? Even in this climate, we've seen values correct themselves to the tune of about 10 to 12%, but nothing outside of that. And that isn't because of the market, the housing market, that is. That's because of this pandemic, right? People up to this point, jobs were being created, opportunities were always there. It is estimated now that even in a slowdown, we're seeing, 2.5 to 3% appreciation rates. So, those are significant, extremely significant increases, even in a downturn. So since we know that we're going to have an increase in value anywhere between 2.5 to 4% over the course of the next couple of years, and those are nationwide numbers, not just Atlanta, okay? Those are national numbers. Yes, you're going to have pockets that do better. Yes, you're going to have pockets that do slightly worse. But the point is, you always go to where the money is. You're not going to go, you're not going to go and try to plant corn in the desert, right? So, that would be you just making bad decisions. You'd go, if you're going to plant corn, you're going to find fertile ground to do it in. It's the same with this business, okay? You're not going to don't try to force the square peg in the circle hole. It's not going to work. So understand that this train is going to keep going. It's going to keep going. You have to find a way to insert yourself into it, okay? There's opportunity everywhere, whether you're buying single family homes, multifamily, or commercial in any state. You were talking earlier, Steve, in our first segment about the gentleman that called you up. He did some single family stuff. He wants to tap into what so he can get his thumb back on the pulse of single family. But this guy's been doing industrial real estate for God knows how long.
Right. But what he was doing, and I don't know if he really understands real estate the way we do. And what he's doing, he's a marketer. He had a call center. And so he's getting people calling, outbound and looking for folks that want to sell their house and getting them under contract and then selling them to me and you. That doesn't necessarily mean that he knows, because the one he sent over, yesterday or the day before, yesterday. The one he sent over yesterday, really the numbers don't work, from our perspective. And using every angle that I can think of, which is, you look at the property, you see that it needs a lot of work. That typically means there's one avenue that you have, which is basically the wholesale end, which is from our perspective, we want to have the number so we can wholesale it off, make a little profit, or we can buy it and fix it and retail it. There's not any good financing sitting there that we can take over payments. There's not owner financing that we can structure in. So that means, okay, it's a cash deal. That means our price, your terms. So that means we're going to give you the price that we need to make it work. But so with him marketing what he does and then bringing those over to us, and we can turn around and say, okay, here's what you do with this. Now, if you're an investor or you're new or you're looking to try to figure out where you want to fit into all this, what should you be doing? Get out and look around, see what's going on, get some values, do some research, find the houses, do the math. Is it a 70% minus renovation minus whatever fee it is you want to make opportunity, or is it something else? And if it's something else, what can you do with that?
Absolutely. And right now, coming out of this, as soon as the courts open back up in most municipalities, you're going to see foreclosure filings, a lot of them. You're going to see bankruptcies, a lot of them. There's opportunity right there. Those are your pretty house technique opportunities. I mean, those are your owner financing, lease option kind of situations, subject twos, where because there are a ton of people out there with bad credit and a boatload of cash, and they can't qualify for a loan because they have to put more money down, or maybe their credit isn't quite where it needs to be yet. The opportunities for you right now as the individual investor or small group of investors to come together and start looking for people, owners of properties that need to sell in any situation, whether it's like Steve said, the house has all this stuff going on with it. It's physically distressed, financially distressed issues, deals are going to present themselves over the coming few months. The next 3 to 6 months, you're going to see a ton of those because some people are holding on by a thread. They're just holding on to their mortgage payments or their job, or they lost their job and they're blowing through their savings right now and they need to downsize and they just don't know what to do. These are opportunities for everyone. These are opportunities for you as you listen to my voice to help people out of situations that could really destroy them financially. Okay. And they'll be happy to give you their property if you can provide the right solution. And
Right.
that's what we're telling you to do.
I'm listening to your voice and thinking, if I was brand new in this might seem overwhelming. What's the carve method? What's subject to? How do I structure owner financing? There's a lot of questions and that I would have, but just a matter of perspective again. Anytime I'm approaching something brand new, I was listening to some stuff on YouTube the other day that was like, what is this? It was like, what is sixth density? And I'm talking about spiritual stuff I'm listening to. It's like, wow, this is all, I don't know what any of this is.
Yeah.
But do I stop listening to it because I don't know what it is? No. I mean, you don't know what it is because you don't know what you don't know, right?
That's right.
So do you stop because you don't know it? Or do you just kind of relax and say, wait a minute, okay, I'm going to listen to this whole thing, even though I don't know what the heck they're talking about. But I'll pick up a little bit of things here and there that I can reference as something that I've learned about in the past or I know about. There's a few things in there that I can hang my hat on while I'm going through the process of figuring out the rest of it. So and listening to that. And so what I'm saying is don't let yourself get overwhelmed. Just, so what? There's stuff you don't know, accept that. It's not a big deal. There's things that all of us don't know. And a good way to approach it is just, okay, I don't know all this stuff. I think I'll just listen to what it is, and then I'll listen to it again. So I'll listen to that same thing like 4 times. And it started to make some sense to me, after the second, third, fourth time. I said, oh, wow, this wow, this is really cool stuff. So if you're hearing about the carve method, there's 4 or 5 different things within the carve method. Pick one of those, maybe the wholesale thing. Understand that. Just take it a little bit of time, add
Hmm.
on here and there.
That's right, and that really is the most important thing. And you bring up a good point there, Steve, in that even though it's important for you to understand every opportunity that is in front of you, because you will lose money, you'll leave money on the table, more accurately put, by not knowing these situations. There's no way for you to absolutely know them immediately, right away. I wish we could just download information that fast,
Right.
but we can't. We have to look at the situation that's in front of us. And that's why having a mentor, someone to bounce ideas off of, when you say, look, I looked at 123 Main Street yesterday and it doesn't fit this, but I think there's something to be done there. What can I do? It's those situations where you're working through it in your mind, but with someone else, whether it's on the phone or a Zoom or however you're communicating. It's extremely important as you're learning what to do to bounce these ideas, these opportunities off of someone else who has the experience, so that you can begin to see what your opportunities are and not guess if there's a thing there or not. You know what I mean?
I do. And do you want to say something about the real estate training program that just launched?
Well, since you mentioned it,
Yeah.
yeah. And these are things that we, of course, we offer people. So we have, weekly group coaching that we can share with people information. You can share your ideas, your deals, and say, hey, here's what we have. Here's what I got. I don't know what to do with this. Here are the numbers. Help me out. And we'll just walk you through the deal. We'll walk you through the process or the opportunity. It's up to you to go and make the deal, but we can look at it and tell you, hey, here are the options for you. So if you don't know the carve method, if you don't know how to get started, go to the realestate360show.com and look at some of the programs and trainings that we have. I mean, we have success in your first 30 days. If you don't know anything or how to get started, we have the full success system, which is going to give you an infinite amount of training on real estate and how to process a deal, how to look at a deal. You have the 30-minute individual. I hesitate to call it a coaching call. It's a strategy call, because your strategy may be different than the other person's, right? And then, of course, there's the group coaching that we have, which is held weekly over a 6-month period, I believe it is, Steve. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
So, you can get a lot of information in that 6 months from these programs, and we encourage people to do it.
Now, when they get to the Real Estate 360 show, what do they do? Do they click on the 4-week action plan, the free 4-week action plan to get started, or is there something else to do there?
Well, the 4-week action plan, definitely, we're giving that to people so they can understand, what it is they want. But the 4-week action plan is also included in the first 30 days program.
Okay, cool. Well, I think that wraps up our show for today. And we want to thank you guys for listening and watching Jason O. Myles.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Hey, listen, follow us, make sure that you're downloading, make sure you're sharing the podcast, make sure that you're going to the realestate360show.com, engage with us, tell us what you like, and please keep listening, and we'll see you next week.